So I have something for you today about VIRL. VIRL is a simulation lab for Cisco technology. You know, if you used VIRL before and maybe you had the same problem like me, just to figure out how the networking is how the networking is set up in the OpenStack. Okay, so I was desperately wanted to have some kind of external management access towards the internal lab, and it was a bit awkward to find out how it works. So here I have drawn Topology just to show you how I did it. Okay, so it's probably gonna spare you some time. So for this one, let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Here you see this, let's say this is single router that is running in VIRL. So what I used is the shared flat network. Okay, that is default with 172.168.1.0/24 network. So this guy, when it comes up, it will get a default DHCP address. So what I used is a Linux container. That's basically that's a jump server. What it does is this router is gonna set its default gateway to the .52. Okay, the .52, it depends on how you. It could change when you start the lab in VIRL. You have to check what external IP address it is, and what the other IP address. But these two IP address is on the same subnet. Okay, so you just configure the router to have a default route to the .52, and that's gonna work. Okay, so let me show you on the lab. Here you see that this guy, you have to check the Linux container flat network. You see that the external IP address is this one. If you log on to it, now just click SSH, or let's say SSH towards its management IP. Here we go, and you do ifconfig. Then you see this three interfaces. One and two. Okay, so these two interfaces, one of them is used for the external IP address, and one of them is used as a gate, basically the gateway towards the out-of-band management network, which is shown here. This is the out-of-band management IP network. This is the management IP address of a router. Okay, so this is 52, this is 52, and this is the internal IP address. All right. I'm going to configure that the router here. So let's say oops. Okay, let's say lab. Okay, I'm in. So show IP interface brief. This is shut down. Shut. Well, if I just use DHCP IPv4. Okay, so then you will see it will get a IP address. See, this is the first DHCP address. Then if you ping and dot, I think is 50 what 50 that's the 51. Yes, 51. It just work. Then we will configure a static root. So 172.161.52. Okay. So you have a default route. Ping. Yes. So it has now towards the internet. Okay. So that works. I tell you how it works. So the default route is pointing to 52, and the external IP, this is 53. This is NATed. Okay. So this guy will gonna NAT the traffic towards the internet. So the source IP will change to 50.53. Then this is the shared flat network. Per default, it was not connected to outside. So what you have to do here, you need to configure VIRL server to bridge the VIRL host, its Ethernet 1 address towards this flat shared flat network. I'll show you where. So okay. So this is under system configuration. Okay, if you go to shared networks, here you see that this host interface is being bridged to Ethernet 1. Okay, so this is basically the VIRL server's Ethernet 1 IP address interface. Okay, and because that server, the VIRL server, this is the guy sitting here. This is the server. Okay, if you do ifconfig er1, so this, this is the one that you want to bridge to, and this is also the default gateway. Okay, so you got to change the default gateway to 250. Okay. If you check my graph, this is already noted. So this is the VIRL server, and it had Ethernet 1 interface connecting to the shared flat network. Okay, so this guy is gonna get a 172.168.1/24 subnetwork. It's gonna get a DHCP address, but you don't point to the VIRL server. You point to the Linux container. That Linux server is the jump server. It NATs the IP address to 253, and it's gonna set. He has a default route to point to the .250. Okay, and that one will again send its default out towards your whatever your virtual machine, your V. That I'm using Mac, so this is a NATed interface. This is the VMnet 8. So that one is doing a NAT as well. Okay, so you're sending out towards the server, towards the MacBook, let's say. Okay. If you what I did was, in the virtual environment of VMware in Fusion, I assigned a outside. This is again the outside network. This is basically the NATed network, or shared or NATed network. This is let's see here. So this one, if you check, he has many adapters. So this is the first one. This is the management network. This I will use as a shared with my Mac. Okay, and here I have a MAC address, and that one is just shared. It's gonna do NAT for VMware. Okay, so if we go back here, so this is gonna NAT again, and this is the network which I assigned this VM net 8 for. So this is the IP address of the outside interface of the VIRL server, and this is the inside interface. And this guy is going to send its default traffic towards the gateway address, which is .2, or actually .1. Well, I'm not quite sure. I think it's .2. I think it's .2. Okay. And the MacBook has access towards the outside internet. When the traffic comes back, it's not back to I think to this network again, to the 172.168.1. Okay. So the MacBook is able to route the traffic back towards the internal management out-of-band network. Okay. If you have a virtual machine running in your Fusion, okay, this is the network. Let's say this is one of the virtual machine I'm running. You just don't forget. Of course, your default route is pointing to the vmnet.y because you want to access internet. Okay, but you need to, if you want to, let's say this network wants to access this virtual machine, you do need to configure a static route pointing back to the VIRL server. So this is why I'm setting a static /24, so 172.168.1.0, which is this network, back to the 10.10. So that's why you can access the internal network. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. Let me verify this IP address. Okay. That's 172.168.128. So 172.168.128, right? Yes. Oh, it doesn't work. I guess I still have to fix this. Okay. Let me check and get back to you. Okay, guys, come back. Yeah, I just accidentally shut the server. I think it works now. I mean, if you check, here it's working perfectly. Okay, so I think this is helpful. Just show you that that image again. Okay, if you want to get some details. Else, I don't see anything I need to point out. Okay, this IP address could change. Then, okay, yeah. So when you go back to VIRL, when you start it, okay, basically this is the topology. Then what you have to do is when you click here, then you got the topology. Here you need to configure this as a shared flat network, not management network. Okay, you need to change this to shared flat network before you start the simulation. Then each router's management IP interface, when you do a no-shut, you get and you do configure IP address DHCP, you will get a external management IP address from the 172.168.1/24. Okay, so this is how you configure the network. Okay. Then you can, of course, you can always jump onto the jump server to check the status here, which link. So you see that it has 2 IP address. Okay. This address might change, so you know. Okay, so what else? I think this is already okay. This is a default towards the gateway. You can have multiple VM setting up here. This is the DHCP. I mean, you got to assign. What I did was in the DHCP config under the VMnet 8, you assign static IP address to this one, I already mentioned, I think. This is basically a router in this case. Okay, although, yes, yeah. Yes. Okay, that's it.